Hello and welcome to How to Fix It. It should come as no surprise that I love Back to the Future. Time travel and Michael J. Fox are two of my favorite things to happen in an 80s movie, besides Ghost and Dan Aykroyd. Anyway, the Back to the Future series is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sci-fi trilogies in the world. And I love all three movies. But, of the three, I like Back to the Future 3 the least. Why? You'll soon find out. Let's get to it. In the first Back to the Future film, Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, uses a time machine created by Doc Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, to travel back in time to 1955 and accidentally prevents his parents, played by Kristen Glover and Leah Thompson, from meeting how they originally did, and averts their marriage, and his own existence. He attempts to fix his mistake, running afoul of Biff Tannen, played by Tom Wilson, and trying to fix the time machine with Doc of the past so he can return to 1985. The second film started with Doc returning from the future to have Marty and his girlfriend stop their future son from doing something stupid in 2015 and ruining his life. While they do that, Marty buys a sports almanac, which is in turn stolen by a now elderly Biff Tannen, who gives it to himself in 1955 and causes an alternate timeline to occur where Biff runs the town of Hill Valley and is married to Marty's mom, and killed Marty's dad, although it was never proved as he owns the police. Marty and Doc must stop Biff in 1985A, destroy the almanac in 1955, and return home. But at the end of the film, the DeLorean is struck by lightning and sent back to 1885, where Doc writes a letter to Marty with instructions to finding and fixing the DeLorean with retro parts. The third film revolves around Marty finding out that Doc is murdered by Mad Dog Tannen in 1885, and returns there to save Doc's life, breaking the DeLorean again in the process. Doc falls in love with Clara Clayton, played by Mary Steenburgen, and together they stop Mad Dog using a bit from an old Clint Eastwood movie, and Marty is sent back to the future where the time machine is then destroyed by a train. Doc and Clara show up a while later with a flying train and two kids, and the trilogy ends. It's Back to the Future, so the concept was there. And I love the parts with Doc and Marty because Fox and Lloyd have fantastic chemistry, regardless if it's 1985 Doc or 1955 Doc. And while the Tannen antagonist was getting a bit tiresome by this point, it did at least change it up by this film by putting a real threat of death in it. Sure, getting erased from time is bad, but Doc could always figure out how to save them. In this one, once Marty or Doc died in 1885, there was no going back, except for Marty saving Doc at the beginning, but once Marty got to 1885, if Doc died, he couldn't save him again. Also, giving Doc a love interest was very welcomed. Doc hadn't had one yet, and he deserved to find a woman who loved what he loved, even if Clara was a bit grating at first. Also, this movie isn't lacking in the humor department either. Both the scene where Doc gets drunk after one shot,
Amen! Hammett, no!
and the scene where Marty calls Mad Dog an asshole
He's an asshole.
are among my favorite scenes from the trilogy. I also like the cute gag where Marty uses the trick from A Fistful of Dollars that Biff was watching in 1985A to stop Mad Dog Tannen. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the soundtrack. The Alan Silvestri score for this one was amazing, and apparently Zemeckis treated Silvestri like an actor, and all the songs like characters, so that made it even better. In my opinion, and you are free to disagree, I felt this one was a bit slow. The beginning was great, but once it got to 1885, I kinda lost interest. I'll admit, I am not the biggest fan of westerns, and my favorite cowboy is Sheriff Woody, so I'm not the best judge for this. I like this movie, I really do, but personally the Old West isn't for me. And like I said, the Tannen antagonist was getting tiresome. Also, I can't say I care for the ending. Not that it wasn't satisfying, I just can't see how Doc managed to build a fricking train as a time machine in the Old West. And how he got it hover converted when he got to 2015. Cars make sense, since you can potentially drive them up to the conversion place, but trains tend to stay on one track. First and foremost, as much as the Old West was integral to the film, maybe a different time period. I could have seen it being cool if it was in like the 1920s or maybe the Civil War, but that's just me. And on the Tannen antagonist thing, my fellow reviewer Des Shinta has come up with a way to have averted that in this film. I won't spoil what it is here because it's not my theory, and it only really works coming from him. So I'll put the link in the description, or you can go here and search up Back to the Future 3. And I'd change that ending scene. As much as I like seeing Doc with his kids and wife, that could have been told through so many more means than a flying train. Like another letter, or what they did in Doctor Who with the Angels Take Manhattan when Amy and Rory are sent back to the 30s. Have Doc read a sci-fi book under an alias that Marty would recognize, and have it arranged for a copy to be sent to him with the dedication page being the speech from the final scene about future not being set in stone.
Back to the Future, Part 3.
And that was Back to the Future 3. I like the movie, but it could have been so much better. While I'll still watch it when it's on, and it's periodically on HBO and ABC Family, you can get DVDs of all three from Netflix, but they're not on Instant, and the entire trilogy goes for about $20 on Amazon for DVD and about $30 for Blu-ray. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today, but be sure to leave a comment to tell me what you thought, and don't forget to share this video around, and if you like it and want to see more, why don't you go hit that subscribe button. See you next time.